Our dictation that we are studying today comes from beloved Lanello. It was made as we were working at the ranch, creating the underground living quarters that we would have to move into if certain things happened. And history seems to repeat itself. For the time, at that time, I remember it so well. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours working to create a safety haven in case war broke out. It's almost like it is today. In fact, I can remember the night everybody else had gone under, but about 2 or 3 of us. My place was at the fire engine where the siren was ready to be started. Others had other places around that they had to do. And there we sat, watching our watches, seeing whether war would start. I understand afterwards that it came within 14 minutes of the pushing of the button, when the international people finally convinced them not to do it. So it is like today. We have every reason to believe that things are sort of crisis. We have, as I mentioned yesterday, very serious situations where people who have the ability to fire the rocket that will put an end either to the United States or many, many, many people suffering. And so we come to this moment, and you say, Lanello, what shall we do? What shall we do? For he is our guru, you know. But he has this address, and it's something that I think each of us ought to take seriously, very seriously. He said, the night is still in the secret chamber of the heart, but a candle burns brightly, the candle of the threefold flame. In other words, all of us still have some karma we have to balance. We're not quite ready to ascend. We have come with a purpose, a divine purpose, and that purpose is to bring peace, make sure the development is here, that mankind might be raised. But we don't have the power we need at this hour. We don't have the power to stop the bullet, stop the explosions, stop hatred. We see hatred smeared across the pages of every newspaper, on the front page and so on. This must stop. How can you have peace when you have hatred being shoved down your throat every day? This is what we have to understand. He says, I am Lanello, come in this hour to extend my heart comfort of truth and the abiding presence of the enlightened ones. I come to insert my candle glow, to attach it to your own, to magnify the Lord within you. Yes, I accept that. I accept his light, his mastery. I accept his presence. I want to say the same as he. I am everywhere in the consciousness of God. And when he comes to us, and when he shares with us, we can have that if we are willing to pay the price for it. He said, I come then at year's end and birth's beginnings. And this was, I think, his birthday dictation, December 25th. I think that was 24th. And this is recorded in volume 23, number 63, back in 1989. I come then at year's end in birth's beginnings, as I was blessed in my final incarnation to be sponsored by the hierarchy of Capricorn, and to receive through and through the initiations that hierarchy would accord me through the great divine director. You know, the decree 0.09a, I think it is, where you arrest the spirals of your darkness. The great divine director gave that to us, and he suggested we do it every day, every day, every day, to begin to get rid of this that our beloved Nanello is talking about, that shadow, that darkness that's still in the heart. He said, may you therefore know, beloved ones, that I have gone before you, and I have submitted to the tests of the uses of God power. And I have served long to attain that God mastery of the blue flame cross of the cosmic clock, that I might come as your forerunner, chiseling away at the rock congealed from the misuses of power in the cardinal points. Yeah, we've been around a long time. We've had a long time to misuse this power of God, and that's where we have to work. He said, may you know, beloved, that those who determine to gain the attainment on the first ray with El Morya are given maximum test, whereby they might prove again and again that no matter what the power that is offered to them on either of these cardinal points, and that's the point 12, 6, and 9, and 3, they shall never take it as a personal adornment, nor use it for personal things of pleasure, for control of others, for manipulation, or any other abuses whatsoever. How do you feel when you're around somebody that tries to control everything you do, everything you think? Yeah, it's not easy. You want to say, hey, buddy, back off. I got my own way of thinking. But in this day, if you don't think the way certain other people think, you're either a Nazi or a sex thing or whatever, you know. You have to agree with these people. Not so. Not if you're one who is manifesting the Father. He said these tests are ongoing for lifetimes, lifetime after lifetime. Those who fulfill them are truly given extraordinary power, as Jesus was. In the final hours concluding his Palestinian mission, he did say, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. The powers of the octaves, beloved, are therefore in the right hand of those who choose to submit themselves in absolute humility before the power of God, the harmony of God, the reality of God, and the absolute God control of God. God control of God. Who is that God? You and I. We are the manifestation of God, and therefore we need to be so attuned that we are controlled at that point, because we are the mind of God in operation, the flow of God in movement, and so on. Therefore, the byword of these is, man can do nothing of himself, I of mine own self can do nothing. This you affirm with Hercules and Amazonia, as they do affirm it, knowing full well that they have the full power of Elohim of the first ray. So in your meditation, all you have to do is notice the look on our beloved El Moria's face. And as I observe it, when I see a frown, I'm saying, uh-oh, where am I? What did I just do? What am I thinking? What's happening? And then I begin to have a conversation with him. Moria, how are we doing? And he might say, you're looking too much at the news. 2 more decrees. The other day he said, I want 1 hour of violet flame decrees from you every day. And I said, Master, you have it. As you begin to work with them, all you have to do is just take a look. What is his countenance? What is his feeling? What is his sense? All the way back to beloved Alpha and Omega, those who are accorded the grace of God's power continually affirm, I of mine own self can do nothing. It is the Father in me who doeth the work. In other words, we have to move away from duality and begin to understand that I am the Father in manifestation. I don't have a will of my own apart from the Father. There is no such thing, because the Father is everything. It is the Father in me who doeth the work. I must work the works of him that sent me. My Father worketh hitherto, and I work. The moment you really understand that and begin to work with it, it's amazing what begins to happen. Considering the perpetual motion of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, you may understand that this achievement lays a foundation whereby the soul might leap and find the springboard to eternal service and a mighty intercession. Do you not think, beloved ones, that the legions of the first ray, whether of the elemental kingdom unto Elohim, whether the sons of God or the angelic host, do not enjoy performing a mighty service and interceding and being the cosmic helper? These have given their all, that they might have a reservoir of power so needed in these hours, when the forces of light must meet the conglomerate of anti-power of the fallen ones, and all the energy they have amassed from the evolutions who have not the control of the uses of their energy. It's so easy to lose it. Mother once said, you can decree all week, hours and hours and hours, and build a tremendous power of light, and then have someone make you angry, and you shoot off with your anger, and you lose everything you did for the whole week. And this is the problem that we have to face and we have to work with. We need to take a good look at our own attitudes and our own reactions. He said, thus, beloved, it took Hercules, yea, Hercules and more, to defeat these fallen ones in this hour. And therefore all hosts of light bow before the humility of this great one who does come, having amassed the power of the Almighty as the absolute servant of the Most High God. Understand, beloved, that I speak of this because there is a disease of the abuse of power, not only among the fallen ones of the earth, but also among some of the 12 tribes, even the children of the light. And you see this. You meet people like this. We have that problem on staff sometimes. Somebody was put into a position of authority, and suddenly they were pretending they were the big shots and telling everybody off, etc. When the masters would come through in a dictation and say, you have to stop this. This is not where it is. It's misuse of power. And so we have to take a look at our reactions when people object to us. And do you get angry inside and you want to start thinking about clobber them or something? This is the misuse of power. And our energies go out the window. We have to be above this. We have to learn to live above that kind of riffraff. And they have gone and followed the false teachers, and they have sought to imitate them. And thus they have taken to themselves that lust of the fallen ones who lust after power and after control in order to command the forces of the Divine Mother and the power of her sacred fire, so they can use these in rituals of black magic to manipulate others. Oh, I've met some real doozies along this line, and I'm sure you have too. Can't stand to be around them because they're constantly criticizing. You're not satisfied, you're not living up to this or that or the other thing, whatever. Therefore, beloved, you will understand that often we see, even in the new Chila, that there are some who quickly have a sense of pride and well-being, that through the contact of the messenger, they now have, in essence, the spoken word, in the science of the spoken word, power to manipulate energy, even God's energy, whether it be in the wanton disregard for the caring of the light, as they are capable of engaging in discord and inharmony within minutes after leaving a service. Have you ever seen that? Two people get engaged in a big argument right after they've gone through a very high service, and they walk out the door, and it comes out they just lost everything they gained. Or whether it be in the subtleties of the psychological manipulations that come through the abuses of God control, or whether it be in the weaving of a life of complete unreality, or whether it be simply the misuse of power as power itself in industry, in money matters, in society, in civilization, and I would add, in religion. One of the biggest problems in churches are this very thing. You have those who try to control the whole thing. First parish that I was in, we had a doctor who ran the whole show. And when I came in, I wasn't ready to get down on my knees in front of him. And we had a rough time for a while, and finally he got mad and resigned. And then the church grew. It began to work with the people, not doing what he said we had to do. Blessed ones, it is necessary to see that power is not an end in itself, but a means to an end. And that end is the liberation of the light bearers of a cosmos. Let the children of the light and the sons and daughters of God come of age then, and let them recognize that at any time Chelas have access to power, the test of the uses and misuses of power is at hand. This is the test of the first-ray masters, Buddhas, and the first-ray Buddhas of the first ray. Buddhas whose blueness does fill a universe, as their auric emanation is in absolute obeisance to the Divine Mother in her first-ray powers. You will see then, beloved ones, that when God does entrust you with a mandate of energy, not only does he expect that energy back, but he expects it back multiplied by the power of 10. Excuse me. Now, how many times we've heard the parables of the talents. Here was a man who had 10 talents, and he was given 10 section of money. And then here's a person with 5 talents, and he was given 5 more. And here was one with 1 talent. He went out and buried his 1 talent because he was afraid he might lose it. The 5 gained 5 more. The 10 gained 10 more. And this was the whole background of that meaning that God expects that you to bring back double what he gave you. Therefore, see to it that you invest power in noble causes, that you recognize that your life stream itself has been given a quotient of power for a lifetime. And the younger you are, the more confident you are that you will never lose that virility, that vigor, that momentum of being able to do anything you will, anytime you will. This is so important. We need to see that what we are leaving behind us has to be more than what you came with. It has to be doubled, tripled, quadrupled, up to 10 times. So look over your life. What is your quotient of gain? This is the reason you still see me here. At my age, Nancy keeps saying, well, we need to back away a little bit, back away a little bit. I reminded her the other day, no, I'm going to go with my boots on. I'm going to go all the way. I want to go as high as I can. And this is what we have to take a look at. How much have you reproduced yourself? How many people have you shared with, healed, worked with, counseled, etc., etc.? These are the things that make the difference. He said, but beloved ones, where there is the squandering of God's power in any form, it is not returned to the one who misqualified it, except as negative karma for the abuse of power, which accrues in the body as old age, disease, and death. This is Lynetto. Do you have aches and pains? I do. I'm still searching. What's going on here? You need to do the same. If you have problems, you need to take a look. But where there is the use of power in the loving service of the light and the light bearers of the world, that power returns again and again as the positive karma and its right use or righteousness to rejuvenate life streams by the power of the true ascended master youth that you see in the holy Kumaras. Have you ever seen a picture of the Kumaras? They look like kids. That when you move across, you actually take on the look as if you are youth, the eternal youth. Though I don't look like youth now, I know that when I go across, you'll hardly recognize me because I'll be like I was 50 years ago, perhaps, or whatever. Okay. And that power of youth and youthfulness at any age comes from the sacred fire that does return again and again and again to the godly, because it is consecrated by them upon the altar of God for the deliverance of life, for the healing of life, for the sowing of the good seed of the Christ teaching and Christ consciousness. Therefore, power used correctly multiplies and returns to the sender, multiplies and returns to the sender again and again. Each time the sender does use it for the glory of the Lord in the service of his people on earth. So we need to fill this place next week. We need to begin to see ourselves going out and gathering those people who are light bearers but who are not attending church any place, and you might want to invite them. When was the last time you invited somebody to the teachings? Know, beloved ones, that one of the most important qualities of your bodhisattvahood is the quality of energy and strength and vigor within the body itself. They say you have just so much energy that's granted to you at first. And if you do not increase that energy, it begins to fade away. You start using it, and you see people who are just walking skeletons because they've used up all their energy and they are not anymore filled with light and love, etc. When we use it all, that's it. And we go through what they call the second death. But if you increase the energy and increase it like a generator, then you can go on for eternity. And that coiled spring of energy enables you to control the desire body, to control the mind in service to the King, to control the vast memory as the storehouse of God's resplendent power. Blessed ones, there does come a time upon earth, and it does draw nigh, when the fallen ones contemplate the ultimate misuse of power. Now understand why I speak. I speak to you, beloved, that you might recognize that in the face of such a serious threat as nuclear war, which is upon mankind in this hour, whether they know it or not, and which is the ultimate abuse of the sacred fire in the nucleus of the atom itself, you must match that abuse with the correct use of power. That sentence in itself is scary. In order to neutralize it, you have to match it with the same amount of power. Now that can be done. All of us have the power of thousands of angels behind us, and we can do it. But it's not going to be done if your mind is filled with what you do in your business, if your mind is filled with what other people think of you, if your mind is filled otherwise. You have to see this. This is the demand. If you could have seen Hercules work with all of his might for the binding of these arch deceivers on the astral plane this night, if you could have seen the intercession of the Lord God, you would know that to be able to meet such a manifestation at the hour when it's necessary for the deliverance of the light bearers of an entire system, for a servant of God to have that power ready in hand, this, beloved, is the greatest grace you could hope for, and it is cause for you to have the profound gratitude for Hercules' preparedness to this hour of your need. And I think this is the thing that's hard for us to understand. We have to really see what we have to produce within ourselves to make it in this day. It isn't only the paycheck that's coming in. It's what you are actually doing, decree work, your healing, your ministry to people, etc., etc. Blessed ones, who is the most miserable among the light bearers? Is it not the one who, though he has descended from God and knows he is a light bearer, has yet squandered his light and his power, and therefore comes empty-handed when the battle begins, and no ability to direct light through the chakras for the turning back of the the mitigation of these events? How many times have you felt totally inadequate to meet the problems that are right ahead of us? To me, the biggest crisis is still to come. And the question is, are we big enough? Do we have enough energy within our own beings to stand in the middle of this whole thing and do the job? When the atomic bomb was dropped in Japan, on Hiroshima, right in the very center, the hottest spot, stood a house. And it just happened that while at that very moment they were doing Mother Mary's rosary. Everything around them was wiped out, was melted down, but the house stood and the people in it were just fine. What they were doing was the same thing that the three guys in the burning furnace. They rose above the fire. The angel helped them to lift their energies up, and therefore the fire never touched them. So this is where you and I come in. We have to really see. We cannot be tired all the time, just barely making it. Sometimes I feel like that. But we cannot be there and have the spiritual power enough to hold the line. Blessed ones, the fallen ones, are relentless in their determination to wage war against the ascending ones. This is what they have proposed to do. Unfortunately, those stopgap measures that could have been placed as defense systems, spoken of repeatedly by the messenger and many others, have not been put in place and cannot be put in place so as to be operational within the timetable that has been set by the fallen ones. What's he talking about here? But it could very well be our electrical grid. For 20 years, the government has been reminded about how crucial the grid is, and all they have to do is shoot a missile and explode it 150 miles above the earth or something like that, and it would wipe out our whole electrical system. But is anybody doing anything about it? No. And this is what he's talking about here. If they would have put it in, we'd have been in better shape. Right now it's too late because the bombers already are on 24-hour alert. The warships are already into the Pacific, ready to go. Do we have time to now redo our whole electrical grid? I'm afraid not. The question is, can we hold it off? And we have held off every attack up to this point, spiritually speaking, and therefore you and I need to be on the job. These are the conditions of the physical octave that you are therefore obliged to deal with insofar as they affect you personally. You think we have not interceded, but we have interceded mightily to inspire the leadership of the West to do the things that have been advised from our levels and from the Darjeeling Council, and spoken even out of the heart of Saint Germain that through the messenger. We have interceded to the fullest extent of the law to gain the attention of any and all who would listen. Therefore I come. Even as I would accompany the wise men out of the East on their journey to pay homage to the Christ child, I attend your birth this night, beloved. I come not only bearing gifts, but also warning of the intent of Herod to slay the Christ child. For the Herod of this day has determined to destroy by nuclear war the divine man-child, whose birth in the hearts of all of God's people does represent the second coming of Christ in millions upon earth. Just look what you are reading. How many Christians are being slaughtered? They cut off their heads, they cut the children in two while they're alive, etc., etc., etc. It's happening. We cannot be like the ostrich putting his head in the sand We have to begin to deal with the situation. Therefore, beloved, I tell you that the hour of global mitigation is past. You may understand that protection will be afforded to light bearers, but it is also important for you to understand that you must lock in to the eventuality and to the acknowledgement of that eventuality, that war is a most present possibility, and that possibility is possible soon. Thus, we encourage you to be realistic in the physical octave, to mark the geographical areas about which you have been warned, such as the coasts of North America, and to remember that in the holy mountain of God there is a place prepared, and there is an opportunity for safety, and you must exercise your options and no longer look the other way, but become, from this hour forward, supreme realists. Our mitigation measures can be taken, therefore, only on behalf of those who help themselves. Our mitigation measures can be taken, therefore, only on behalf of those who've helped themselves, those who follow the directions we have given for many years. The mitigation factor can be for light bearers in many quarters, but as far as mitigation of the purposes of the fallen ones, their purpose, their possibility of fulfilling their purposes, there is not much more we can do, given the free will choices that not only the leadership, but the people of the West have made. Now, the question is, how much food do you have stored in your cupboards in case it should happen? How much have you done to prepare yourself in case of this hour of happening? If you're like many that I know, you haven't done too much. You haven't had the money to put a lot of money in it. Perhaps you ought to buy one can every time you go to the grocery store. Maybe you can put some water back or something. But be prepared in case something should happen. Therefore, beloved hearts, it is the hour to take care of oneself and one's loved ones, and to do so with a degree of certitude in the realism that preparedness is the last and only key we have to avert such a calamity of such massive abuse of power. There are many who have heard our words, and many more who have believed what they have seen on television, who have considered that the messenger has, as what the messenger has said, does not have any realism at all. Blessed ones, pray for them, and pray to Cyclopeia that you might see and know that which is on the drawing boards of the rulers of darkness of this world. They have determined to make their warfare against the light bearers physical, beloved, and there is no one in the physical octave in this hour who has determined to stop them. Therefore I say to you, may you cast yourself on the rock of Christ, and come into congruence with Maitreya and Manjushri, to the right, to the left of the Buddha. May you come into the integration of the soul with God, laying all other things aside. For, beloved, your hope is in the Lord God, the Holy One of God himself. Your hope is in the Lord God Almighty. We who are about the business of the Father through the Great White Brotherhood have done all that we can do. Therefore, if there is to be a miracle, it must be between your soul and the heart of the Infinite One. I speak to you simply because, and my words sound on the crisp winter night, they are absorbed by mountain and rock and sand. They are absorbed by the soul. I am speaking to the soul of every light bearer on earth. I am sounding the warning, and I am enfolding you with the fullness of my Christmas swaddling garment of love. You are doing it, you are preparing, simply keep on keeping on. We have the intercessory powers on our behalf. We have intercessory powers on behalf of our chelas, but you must be ready, beloved. We will do all our power to help you so long as you can come to terms with the task at hand. How's your guidance doing? Can you be led in emergency? Can you be very quiet and hear Lynetto say, "This way, come now, move here, go there"? This is what you must develop. And if you don't have it yet, for goodness sake, start spending some time in practicing with him. Be diligent and make haste, and do not fall into thinking that you have unlimited days and weeks and months, that we will ever be there to postpone the dates. It is not possible, beloved. We cannot thus interfere either with the karma of the fallen ones, or with their final judgment, or with the karma of the children of the light who have not heeded our word, or with the karma of the light bearers who have known better, but have not done any better for that knowledge. There is a karma on all sides, beloved. We look to the future. We look to our light bearers getting beyond this point in world history. We see you surviving the turbulence of the physical octave and laying the foundations for the new age. Let us be serious in our efforts and our days, but let our hearts be joyous in the knowledge that we are fulfilling the purposes of the Lord. I am your Father always. I will not leave you, and I will not leave you in ignorance, nor will I leave you in the wishful thinking of your own minds, which would sometimes like to think that things will simply work out for the best. They will not work out for the best unless you work them out for the best yourselves, beloved. The expiation of planetary darkness, one way or another, is the only way that light can be permanently ensconced on the planet. Either the people turn their hearts to God and forsake their on-toward ways, while the light bearers invoke the violet flame in the intercession of the Lord's host, or the karma of 25,800 years descends. As you have noted for many years, at every hand where the teaching is taught, the light is brought, or a Christed one is born, there is a mass outcry and a movement against the effort, whether it be to introduce the true education of the heart or the path of Christhood and bodhisattvahood. Blessed ones, the same powers that would stop the teachings of the ascended masters from galvanizing the world to the victory against the abuses of power by the fallen ones are determined to have war at any price. For their purpose is to see that it never again shall there be a Christmas Eve, a celebration of the birth of Christ, of the Christ of Aquarius. Therefore, beloved, we are united with you as one to prove them wrong. We are here to stay. Our feet are firmly planted in this ground, and we have that fire in the solar plexus that says, I will not be moved. I will survive to fulfill my fiery destiny. Therefore, let that fire be translated into the most practical preparations. Let it be done with dispatch. Now, this is what moved the ranch to move as fast as it did to build those underground bunkers. My beloved, we are determined to turn this world around. You must understand that it is a process of total world chemicalization that we are about. It happens step by step, and you can count the gears on the mighty wheel. Each and every one must lock into the gears of the wheel of Almighty God. When these steps of divine retribution to the balancing of world karma and the planetary chemicalization has been fulfilled, you will find, if you have determined to be a survivor, that in the new day you will be lighter, you will carry less burden, less personal karma, and you will have a greater opportunity to give birth to the new age. Come to realize then that the advancement of the age of Aquarius is under Saint Germain and Portia has in effect been ultimately thwarted by this spiritual wickedness in high places of the earth, in church and state, in the free society, and in the totalitarian state. At every hand, beloved, the expansion of the light is blocked. Therefore I say, welcome the tide of light that will ultimately swallow up the darkness. Welcome the hastening of the timetables. Welcome the embodiment as the opportunity for your finest hour, your greatest victory, and as the moment when the enduring to the end of your karma, you may have that maximum potential to use circumstance as the springboard to the victory of the ascension. The seed of Satan has no power of their own. All power that they have taken from God's power. And the day fast approaches when that shall be stripped from them utterly, even their very breath. May you value being on the line that God has drawn, where you take your stand. It is the line where light confronts darkness and swallows it up. It is the line where you make your decision to take your victory. There is no better time, no better space, there is no better organization, there is no better community. The hosts of the Lord are encamped around about. See that your physical preparations are complete. Secure the science, secure, scientific, and well thought out. You can do everything for you except the physical. We can do everything for you except the physical. This is your task. This is your labor. By it, earn your stripes. The hosts of the Lord are encamped around. See that those physical preparations are complete. Blessed ones, it is God's game, and I cannot express this enough. This is not our game. This is not what we want. This is God's game, and that's why we're constantly talking about, it's not I who live, it's the Christ who lives in me. This is His game. Play it well, for He has made that game so that it is possible for the Son of God to win. Remember that, beloved. God has made it possible for you to win. And never, ever allow yourself to get to the point where you think you'll never make it. You will make it. You have made it. You are making it right now, and you will be that victor in the end. Now consider the realm of God's possibility and fit yourself into it, and show Him that you are a son that He can be proud of, a daughter that may serve as the Shakti of the Lord. Oh, beloved, if you ever desire to please your divine parents, I say, decide in this hour, and know that you have already pleased the Lord, and thou art indeed highly favored. Blessed hearts, all the love of cosmos does press in upon you in this hour, even for the calls you have made that have already begun to tip the scales against these false hierarchies of Antichrist that are diminishing night by night. I am Leonetto, seated here before you as surely as if I were in embodiment. And am I not in embodiment in the heart of my beloved always? We are here to see you through, and to see this through to the finish, beloved.
Again then, beloved, go and be all that you are. Summon it from on high. Will it, love it, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. We will not leave you. We are here to stay. Thank you so much, beloved Lynella. Thank you so much. You have opened our eyes to the realities in which we live, and the realities for which we have come. You have given us the direction. You have given us thy peace. Continue to walk beside us individually, one by one. Continue to open the door to all the angels who are here to assist us. For in this hour we will be victorious. Grant us that victory in the feeling world of ours, in our thought world, in our world of action. Let us be that victorious one, for we ask it in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of the Father, and of the Mother, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen and amen.